I do now.
Great. Hello and welcome to the Leaders Worldwide Speechcraft Program. I am Sally Reyes, your Sergeant at Arms and a member of the Executive Committee of Heart to Heart. Please take out your phones and set them to silence.
Find my phone.
Struggle. Please help me to welcome our executive director of this Speechcraft. She is a sponsor of the upcoming Leaders Worldwide, which is chartering in October 2020. She also serves as the finance committee to District 57 and also Heart to Heart secretary. Let me welcome and help me, Linda Patton.
Thank you, Sally, so very much. The last time I checked, I wasn't a committee, but thank you so very much.
A committee.
The good news is we have our budgets, so I'm done.
Oh,
at least for the moment. All right, it's good to have you all here, and I really think this is going to be one of our best speech crafts. This is session 7, and we have one more next week. And then we will be wrapping up for graduation, which is on the 21st of September. And I have to tell you, this has been a labor of love. And as Cynthia says, we built the plane as we flew it. And so we can turn over those lessons learned to the next person who wants to do a speechcraft and start a chapter, because we have the process in place. And I think that's really great. Just to ask you to please mute yourself and mute your picture, your video.
Through their work on behalf of the people, would then turn around and remind them.
Thank you. So that we have the bandwidth to be able to hear our speakers, as well as it helps Mona as the timer to be up top where everybody can see her. I'd like now to introduce Cynthia Stott, who is our founder of Leaders Worldwide, as well as our head cheerleader. Cynthia.
Hi. Oh, and I remembered to unmute myself. That's really good. I'm growing. Awesome. 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 So I want to share with you about Leaders Worldwide. We're doing this speechcraft. It's the 4th speechcraft we've done, but it's the biggest and the best. We have over 300 people on our email list. 50 to 70 people are showing up live every week, including you. And they are from, what is it now, 14 countries and 7 states. Woohoo! Amazing job. And if you would like to be a charter member of this new club, which is launching and chartering in October, with the first session being October 19th, but we're hoping to launch by the 15th. If you would like to be one of our charter members, we would love to have you. So email me, Cynthia Stott, at Cynthia, CYNTHIA, Stott, STOTT, woohoo! at yahoo.com, and I will put that in the chat for you. Back to you, Linda.
Cynthia, thank you so very, very much. You have been right next to me for the entire 7 weeks, and even a bit before that. And it has been a pleasure to be a part of this with you and Michelle and Diane Pless, who has been my advisory committee on all of this. Our first spotlight presenter is Pauline Shirley. She's a DTM. She's a past international president of Toastmasters International, chairman of the board and founder of WOVI, Inc. Pauline lives in Richardson, Texas, a suburb of Dallas. She joined Toastmasters in May of 1981. She is dedicated to enhancing the performance of individuals through mentoring and other programs. Pauline has been a proven leader for over 30 years in corporate, municipal, nonprofit, and volunteer environments. Her first leadership pinnacle occurred when she became only the second woman to serve as the international president of Toastmasters International. She continues to actively participate and lead in Toastmasters. She founded Women of Visionary Influence in 2001, which was the beginning of her dream to serve women. She and her husband, John D. Shirley, are blessed with 2 children, 8 grandchildren, and 4 great-grandchildren. Put your hands together and let's welcome Pauline Shirley to our stage.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you for that introduction. And you know, I think I need to make a correction on that great grandchildren. No, I don't. We're still at 4. Okay.
Okay.
So, yes, it's a pleasure to be here tonight, and I appreciate Cynthia for asking me to speak. And I love to talk about leadership. So the title of my presentation is All for the Love of Leadership, because I think leadership is an amazing skill, talent, whatever you want to call it, and it can make such a huge difference in the world today. When in my early experiences, I did not call it leadership. I don't know why it didn't enter my mind. Even when I was a Brownie leader and a junior scout leader, I didn't think of myself as a leader. And when my leadership journey started through scouting, of course, and then when my children were in elementary school, I was president of the PTA. And even then, I didn't look at that as being a leader. But I know this, I was so nervous when I presided over those monthly meetings. It was just terrible. I was just besides myself. I would be so nervous that I could not remember what I had said and what I had done during that meeting. So what do women generally do in preparation for something like that, going to be in front of the people? Well, you go to your hairdresser, right? So I'd get my hair done. So I went to get my hair done before one PTA meeting. And I was telling my hairdresser, who was a good friend, how scared and nervous I got when I was leading those meetings. And she looked at me and said, "You get nervous. What about me? I do your hair." So I never looked at it from that perspective, you know, that she would be nervous like I was. But anyway, so all of that is to say, like I said, I did not consider what I was doing in anything during that time as leadership. Didn't call it leadership. Don't know why. And even early in my career, I did not call what I was doing in leadership. I called it managing, supervising, getting the job done through others. My title did often have the word manager in it, never leader. Then I was introduced to Toastmaster, and I have to tell you about this. This was a great experience. I worked for a small town suburb of Dallas, and I was the tax assessor collector. And that's a fun job, I will say that. And it was the assistant city manager was in the process of working with a group of people to start a Toastmasters club, and they decided they would bring it into the city and offer it to the city employees. Well, I had to, in my role, I had to talk to the businessmen of the community, the businesswomen of the community, the business leaders, the homeowners, everybody, and I had to appear before the council, and I had to lead the tax board and all that kind of stuff. And here I was, a nervous wreck. So I was looking forward to going to that demo Toastmasters meeting. And so the day arrived, and I went to that meeting, and I was just enthralled. It was amazing. It just fit everything I needed. But I was nervous at the prospect as well. But at the end of that meeting, one of the experienced Toastmasters said to me, "You'll do your icebreaker next week, won't you, Pauline?" And I was too scared to say yes and too scared to say no, but I gave my icebreaker the next week. We were fortunate that the mentor of that club was incredible. He had strong ideas about what a Toastmasters club should be and do, and he didn't slack up at all. He was amazing. He was this huge, robust man with this booming voice. You know, he sort of commanded the room. And he insisted that we do things that we thought, some of us newbies thought, well, that's ridiculous. And so we got together and we talked about telling him to back off. But we chickened out and we didn't do it. But we did call him the tormentor. And he loved that. He loved that terminology. He loved being called the tormentor. But I'll tell you, that Toastmasters Club, which is 39 years old now, is still a great club. And I think it's as good as it is because it maintained all of those things that he instilled in us when that club first started. It's a strong club, always, even under the situation we're dealing with meetings on Zoom, we're getting new guests and new members. So it's really, really fabulous. When I was international president, I wrote an article in the Toastmaster magazine and about the value and importance of mentoring. And of course, I mentioned Gerald Harris, the mentor of TNT. And the minute that magazine came out, I get this call from him. And he had said his favorite phrase to me, "I told you so, didn't I?" And yes, he was, but I told him so when I complimented him on what the difference he had made in TNT and still making the difference. So I became involved then in Toastmasters. It was amazing. I loved what I was doing. My first role was VP of Education, and then I was president. And toward the end of my year as president, I get a call from a man whom I had never met before. And he introduced himself, and he said, I'm running for district governor for District 25, and you've been recommended as a possible area governor. Well, at that point, I really didn't know what an area governor was or what an area governor did. And so I said, well, thank you for asking, but I need to find out more about that. And I said, let me talk to the current area governor before I give you my answer. And so I did that, and I decided, well, I'm going to do that. I'm going to try that position. And contrast that with about a week later, I get another call from a woman who's running for the same position he was running for. They had competition then. And she said to me, "Pauline, I didn't know you were interested in being an area governor." And I thought, is that being a leader? No, I didn't think that was being a leader. That wasn't the way it had. And then she also went on to say, "I've already given your area to somebody else." So I said, well, thank you for asking me, but I think I wouldn't want to do it if I couldn't be in my own area. So anyway, that gave me the opportunity to work with that district governor, Ernie Dubnikoff. And Ernie was a little bit like the founder of Toastmasters International, Ralph Smedley. He wasn't a dynamic personality, and he wasn't this glorious speaker, but was he an incredible leader? He knew how to appreciate you, and he knew how to expect of you what you were capable of doing. And it was such a pleasure being on his team that year. And I would get note cards regularly from him thanking me for all I was doing. And it was amazing. So I learned a lot from Ernie. He was amazing, and I learned a lot from him, and he made a huge difference in the district as well as in my life. And then it was working with people throughout my leadership positions. When I was area governor, the gentleman who was the division governor, we were very close and worked closely together, and then went on to become district leaders together. And he had one of these high energy persons. He was always ready to go to a Toastmasters club. He was an engineer in a manufacturing plant, but he kept a suit, a coat, and a tie in his trunk of his car so he could go to a Toastmasters meeting at the drop of a hat. And he had all this energy. He would beat the members of a club he visited to the meeting before they there and welcome them when they came then. He was amazing, and I learned a lot about leadership from him. And it was marvelous to work together and be successful. So the district was doing really well for several years there. It was amazing. I remember one thing in particular, stepping back just a minute, when I was running for division governor, and an experienced Toastmaster said to me, "Pauline, the more you give, the more you get in return." And at that time, it went through my mind, well, that sounds a little bit too spiritual for me. But I have come to realize that is so true. It doesn't matter how much you give, the more you give, the more you get in return. So if you want to grow and develop and learn and be strong and possess leadership skills, give. That's the first thing you should be doing. I enjoyed it very much doing that. And then when I had the privilege of serving as district governor, we call them directors now, but back in my days, we were district governors. I started out aware of the fact that to meet the goals for the district, there was only a year in which to do that. And things had to be done. You couldn't postpone anything, and nor could you let any conflict get in the way. And conflict was never something that I cared to deal with. I mean, it was conflict, forget it. I don't want to have anything to do with that, But I knew that if I couldn't have that attitude, and I knew that was something I needed to work on. So I had the opportunity during the year as I was district governor, and it was all of that too was growing experience. But it was a fabulous experience being district governor and getting all of the Toastmasters in the district excited about what we were doing as a whole. It was amazing. We had a history of doing well about chartering clubs, and we had a method that really worked beautifully. And we had a backlog of clubs that were in the chartering process, but couldn't quite get to the point they needed to get to. And so a past district governor who was pretty much in your face sometimes came to me and he said, Pauline, give me the opportunity and I'll get those clubs chartered. And I thought, okay, we got to do this. I mean, it's got to be done. It's for their own good. So if Pat Gallagher was going to do it, anybody can do it, he can do it, I hope. But I was a little bit concerned about his methodology. And so the day came that he was going to visit the first club in the chartering process. And so and it was a noontime corporate club. And after about 1:30, I get a phone call. And it's the president of that club. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, he's going to tell me, get this man out of here. We don't want him around here. He's not doing things like we want to do it. But instead he said, oh, thank you, Pauline, for sending Pat Gallagher to us. We're going to get chartered because of him. And I thought, wow, it was such a relief, and sometimes you do the right things and it works out. But anyway, at the end of that year, the conclusion of that year, Pat Gallagher said to me, he said, you know why I did that, Pauline? You know why I worked with those clubs to charter them? He said, because every time I would come to you and tell you what was going on, you were always so excited about it. And I thought, well, get excited, be appreciative. That's the important part of leadership. Anyway, we had a great year that year in the district, and we ended up #1 in the world, and we broke the record of chartering new clubs at that time. So it was an exciting thing, and it was done by the entire district. It wasn't just a few people that made that happen. Toward the end of the year, a gentleman who had just moved to the area, and he was the president of a community college, was interested in starting a Toastmasters club. And so I took the initiative, which was stepping out of my role because we had somebody who was scheduled to do that, and called him and talked to him about starting that club. And he had been a Toastmaster from the college he'd come from, so he was very familiar with it. And I told him, I said, the district we're getting close to, we're running for #1, and we're up there, we're getting close. There's a possibility we could be #1, but we need your club to make that happen. And so he did all by himself. He didn't get any help from any of us at all. Before you knew it, that club was chartered. And so for years afterwards, he would say that it was due to him and that club that we were #1 in the world. And I thought, he can take that credit because he did so much anyway. It was wonderful. But when you're part of something successful and you're sharing that with people and you're sharing goals with people, and they can see what's coming up like that, people love that. They want to be a part of success. They want to be part of something that's bigger than them. And as a leader, you have the responsibility to make sure they see that, and that happens. It's always also wonderful always to be enthusiastic. One other little thing that was sort of a bit of a caveat here was one night I left work and I thought, well, I'm going to stop by a Toastmasters club on my way home. And I had heard people say district governors don't go visiting Toastmaster clubs, but that wasn't my attitude. And so I thought, well, I'm going to stop by this club going home. I'm going to break that idea. and I stopped by this club, and it was a good meeting, but it was a little bit subdued. And at the end of the meeting, somebody came up to me and said, Pauline, how did you know that we were going to vote tonight to disband? And I hadn't known that. It was just serendipitous that I had chose that club to visit. But my going there stopped that process. And so they continued on as a club. So sometimes you just sort of, a leader follows his or her gut too, and that's important. I think what's becoming, in every role I've ever had in Toastmasters, every leadership role, I have had people that have supported me and encouraged me. Things that I would not have considered doing, but somebody would have come to me and say, okay, Pauline, are you going to do this? And that was true throughout my Toastmastering leadership, from practically that area governor role to international president. And so it's nice to have, that's what it took for me. I would not have done it if I didn't get that kind of encouragement. So it's important that leaders encourage other leaders or encourage future leaders. That's one of the other things that's critical. When I was international president, and I was the second woman to hold that position, and it was a little bit of a break because it had been a while since Helen Blanchard, who was the first woman to be international president. So it was like, wow, you know. I think one thing that I learned that surprised me, it was how much that meant to the women in Toastmasters, because I would have women that would come up to me at the international convention and they would say, Pauline, you're my mentor. Now I knew they really meant I was a role model, but I also felt that they felt it was important that I was serving and I was a woman, you know, that was representing them in a different way. Now that may not be the same case today, but that was the way it was back then. And one time when I was international president, my presidential visits, I would lead works generally on a Thursday afternoon and not come back until the next Monday. And I would travel to whatever district that was hosting a presidential visit. And one Monday I came back to work, and I don't remember exactly what the problem was, but there was something going on, and it was like, and I wanted to tell my employees, just get the job done. Forget about all this. I mean, I just wanted to say, just do it. And I thought, Pauline, you would never do that in Toastmasters leadership. So you can't do that in corporate America leadership. So I backed off, and because I had done things, lots of different things to encourage and motivate and inspire leaders and others along the way. And so I did not tell them just do it. We had good conversations around it, but it was like, it made me aware of the fact that, okay, you can't, you've got to be careful. You've got to lead at work the same way you lead in Toastmasters. So we had moved to Northern Virginia a year after my district governor year. And so from me, when I served as international director and then through the executive committee and all of that, we were living in Northern Virginia. And then when shortly after my term as international president was over, we decided it was to come back to time to come back to Texas. And what amazed me of all was that when we got moved back here, and that was what, 6-7 years later, and I would run into people that were involved in the district, or I had been in the district when I was district governor, and they always had a story to tell me. I remember when we did this, or I remember when you do that.
Pauline?
Yes.
We have a little bit of time for people to ask you questions, and if you keep talking, which we love because we love your stories, but then people won't be able to ask you questions. Could you maybe wrap up your speech so we could get to the questions?
Okay, yes, I wanted to do that. I wasn't sure what the timing was. I hadn't seen any clocks. I hadn't seen the clock, Mona, sorry. And I thought I had my timer on in my phone right here, but I didn't. So anyway, I want to say this, and then we'll go to questions. Serving as international president of Toastmasters International was such an honor. It was such a privilege, and it was such a wonderful opportunity to grow in a way I never thought I would, but to expand my leadership. But any leadership role from club to international is of value. So, and if somebody asks you to be a leader, step up. So now, thank you. I will conclude my presentation and open it up for questions and answers. Are they going to come verbally, or are they going to come on chat?
They're coming on chat, but don't worry, I'm going to read them to you. And actually, I asked the first question. So my question was, how difficult was it for you to become international president? I mean, you were like the second woman. What's the backstory on that? Did you have to like break through the male barrier?
Well, Helen Blanchard had done a beautiful job of that. And as a matter of fact, Helen Blanchard, she wrote a book, Breaking the Ice, and it was about her Toastmasters career. So I didn't deal with the same challenges she did, but I did, there was that little bit of an issue. It had been a while, quite a few years since there had been a woman president. And there was a little bit of a challenge. And my competition, there were 3 of us that year, and the other 2 were men. So, but to me, add to that a little bit of a bragging tone. And if you're from Texas, it's the truth, it ain't bragging. I took the election on the first ballot.
Wow.
When there are 3 running, you don't necessarily expect that to be the case, but I did. So, and the other 2 were men. So
that's amazing.
I did not get the kind of backlash or the kind of challenges that Helen got when she shared some with me. And that was just appalled, really. But I didn't get any of those, so I was fortunate.
Awesome.
But it was a lot of work. I would come in my campaigning for 3rd vice president. It was for 3rd then. I would come home from work, get home from work about 6 o'clock. My husband would say, you go upstairs, because my office was upstairs, and I'd go upstairs in my office and I'd start making phone calls, and I'd do that until it was too late to call anybody anymore. So it was a lot of work. And then I visited as many regions as I could at the region conferences, because we could do that then.
Wow.
So it was work, and I sent out newsletters on a monthly basis in the campaign process. It was amazing.
Wow. So Pauline, we have a few things that I want to share with you, but also if they keep on coming up, the other thing is to save the chat so that you get all the positive feedback. But Kathleen Phil says, love all the specifics wrapped up in your stories. What does the difference between management and leadership feel like?
Well, leadership is much more rewarding to me. Leadership is inspiring to yourself, but it's instead of telling people to do things, you are encouraging them to do things. You're inspiring them. They're getting them to do things because of the way you communicate with them, and you're showing them how to do it, and letting them see the value of doing it. And that's true whether you're in Toastmasters, a nonprofit, or in corporate America. You know, I've made some mistakes before some mistakes that haunted me a little bit before I really got involved in Toastmaster leadership. So,
Yeah, so you learned a lot. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So here's a question from Mohammed. He said, how did you tune in with different cultures while leading organizations? Thanks for the great experience sharing.
Well, you do. Of course, we weren't as diverse then as we are now, but one of my great presidential visits was to Mexico, and that was fabulous. I mean, you just be yourself, and you be. For example, my visit to Mexico, they had an incredible display, and we were at a banquet that night, and they had all of their new DTMs lined up across the ballroom floor, and there was a huge line. And then I had to congratulate them, and it was my opportunity to congratulate them, I should say. And I thought, okay, I'm in Mexico. I know I can hug them. If I were in Germany, I might not have hugged them. But I'm in Mexico, and so I just went down the row and hugged everybody. So that's how you're just aware of what's the best way to deal with whatever culture you're in or you're among. And I think that doesn't matter when or where.
So another quick question is, what year were you the international president? We would love to know.
94, 95.
Wow, that's amazing.
Uh-huh.
And let's see, another person, Rasana, said, very inspired by your trailblazing leadership, loved your quotes and your stories, Pauline. Mm-hmm. And you have like less than a minute to go. Is there any last word that you would like to say to our group?
I would like to reiterate, remember, the more you give, the more you get in return. And remember, when you are working with people, treat them special. That's what's critical. Treat them special. You know, my introduction referred to my organization for women that I've started, Women of Visionary Influence. And what I have learned and do in that organization that I had not done before is I've learned to tell my women friends or co-conspirators or whatever we are working together. I've learned to be comfortable in telling them I love them. And
Nice.
that was like when I realized, wow, I thought that's pretty major for you, Pauline. But it's wonderful because I do. I appreciate them and I tell them I love them.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Pauline. I want to turn everything back over to Linda.
Pauline, thank you so very, very much. That was a very inspirational presentation, as well as giving us an idea of what it was like to grow up in Toastmasters and to really step into your leadership and be an international president. So thank you so very much.
Thank you. It was an amazing opportunity. Amazing.
Thank you.
I appreciate you having me tonight.
It is phenomenal to have you here, and thank you. We're now going to move on to our second keynote speaker, which is Patricia Mensah-Lakai, and she is the sponsor of Parasos Horizon Toastmasters Club. She's a two-time distinguished Toastmaster in both the Legacy and the Pathways program. She served her district as a Pathways ambassador and guide, a two-time area director, earning the district's Area Director of the Year award in 2016-17, and became the first female division director of Ghana Toastmasters Division G in 2018-19, and she led them to Presidential Distinguished Division. She's a communications and leadership coach and a two-time self-published author. Her books entitled Fearless, Fabulous, and Flamboyant is to help leaders connect their personal values, guiding principles, and how they can enhance their leadership qualities to accomplish their dreams and lead teams to achieve success. Her second book is Untangling That Tongue, No More Fear of Public Speaking. Both books are available on Amazon and Kindle. I'd like you to welcome Patricia Mensah-Lakai, Authentic Leadership Development, Patricia Mensah-Lakai.
Thank you so much, Linda, for that awesome presentation. And I also want to say thank you to DT and Pauline for sharing your amazing journey with us. I want to be sure I've got Mona pinned. Good morning, my time. Good evening to you all. It is a pleasure for me to share with you my lessons learned through both my own experiences and that of others. And that has launched me onto this path of wanting to know more about authentic leadership. Now, I want to have a feel of what comes into your mind when you hear about authentic leadership. I will just look through the charts, and when you think about authentic leadership, what comes to your mind? What are some of the first words that pop up in your mind when you hear about authentic leadership? And whilst you think about it and put it in the chat, I just want to first look at, yes, I see a few definitely. So I see being genuine, honesty, etc. You are all on the right path. So when I was growing up, most of the time, my mom would go to a place we called the second-hand clothing line. Probably in the US, you might call it an outlet, or you may, like you have Nordstrom Rack or etc. So we would usually go there, and my mom would pick clothes for us. And she, because of her travel experience, she would go in for the brands that she knew were quality. Okay, so she would pick labels that would say Gap, labels that made, you know, give that sense of authenticity, originality, even though it was coming from the second-hand clothing line. And we would wear these so proudly. we felt proud because even though they were secondhand clothing, they lasted longer than some of the clothing that we will purchase, maybe brand new from, let's say, the different markets coming into the country. And these were known by a lot of people as the fake brands. So the fake brands, or the ones that were not original, even though you may get them off the rack as brand new, didn't last as long as some of the brands that we will buy that were genuine, original, made of quality, but just have been probably used before or were on sale and had been shipped to Africa. Now, as I reflected on that period, one thing that came to my mind is that we are on a journey to become leaders. We have come into Toastmasters with different expectations. Some of them may have been out of a desire to go higher up. Some could have been an opportunity to coordinate your team at work better, or to be able to advocate for the cause that you're passionate about better. And so you needed to build on your communication and leadership skills. But we all understand that there's so many different styles of leadership. There's so many different styles when it comes to communication. How then can we clearly state which one is genuine, which one is original, which one is authentic? Now, through my 10 years journey as a Toastmaster till date, what I came to recognize was the fact that being that authentic leader actually begins with you. You are your own original copy, the original version of yourself. But just as precious minerals or gemstones have to be dug out from the ground and have to be cleaned, have to go through processing, going through high temperatures, you would need to go through certain experiences. You would have to go through a certain developmental stage. And as you progress through a certain continuum, you would grow from one level of experience, becoming a better version of yourself at every point in time. Why then do I connect it with the clothing? So you are your copy. You wear what I want to refer as the ABC. You wear your attitude. You wear your behavior. And you wear your character. So wherever you find yourself, you are your original version. And if you want to become the best version of yourself, then it means that you need to succumb to certain forms of training, a certain level of exposure and experience, as well as humbling yourself to learn from others. As DT and Pauline spoke, one thing that I picked out of her message was the fact that during her era, she had the opportunity to have had a trailblazer who had gone the way and made the path a little more easier for her to chart. When I joined Toastmasters in 2010, it was at a time when I was supervising the switchboard attendants at the US Embassy in Accra. These were elderly people, far older than me, and for those who understand our Ghanaian culture, we give a lot of respect and recognition when it comes to age. So sometimes you would find yourself in between a rock and a hard place because you are the supervisor, you know the tasks that have been assigned to all of you and the urgency that that requires. And you needed to ensure that the work was done and delivered commendably. I joined the embassy right in between the period where we had the first POTUS visit. For those of you in the US, I'm sure you know POTUS, that's the President of the United States. That was the time where President Barack Obama at the time visited Accra, and Switchboard was going to be in charge of the cell phones that had to be dispatched to security forces, etc., etc. And because of the nature of the visit, certain information didn't have to trickle down until it was required. It was more of a need to know basis. So certain things I would be aware of as a supervisor, I wasn't at liberty to share with everyone. So what happened was, when you are in that sort of stage as a leader or as one that is managing a team, you need to be able to work on the go, because there are ad hoc committees. Everybody comes into a weekly meeting or a daily meeting. Strategies can change off the cuff, and you need to go with the flow. You need to work and always stay on top of issues. So that was that time that what I have come to know now as dynamic leadership and gain proficiency in had to be employed. Because sometimes I can go into the office and say, okay, we were going to number the cell phones in this way. We were probably going to put names on it in this way. However, we now have to go through a different process. And it was difficult for people to understand, some of them to understand why you would come in and change instructions or change what they had to do without understanding the why. So I had a colleague who was a member of Toastmasters, which was then a prospective club at the embassy, and she invited me to attend a Toastmasters meeting. When I got into the meeting, I enjoyed it. I loved it. I went a second time, a third time, and then I decided to register because I realized that was the place that I could actually sharpen my leadership skills and be able to work effectively and efficiently with my team. And for authentic leadership to actually thrive, you need to always connect with who you are, connect with those core values, those principles that you hold dear. And one of my principles was excellence. I wouldn't want to be associated with shoddy work. I wouldn't want to be associated with something that was of poor quality. And this was part of my strength and also a weakness. And I needed to learn and strike a fine balance. So whilst I would strive for excellence, it meant that I will find myself on my weak side, micromanaging, putting too much pressure on probably somebody who couldn't work under a lot of pressure. So through Toastmasters, I got to understand that we need to vary how we lead or how we manage people. And so I fell in love with it and I stayed. Because the embassy at the time wasn't chartered, just like your club is in the birthing process, I had to register with the Accra Toastmasters Club. And within a year, we had the opportunity to have the whole of West Africa Toastmasters gather in Accra. At that time, it was still the West African Territorial Council because we didn't have enough clubs to become a district. And because I had that background in bilingual skills, I could speak a bit of French and English. It endeared the Francophone community to me. That was the very first time, that was in 2011, that I got to know about what a DTM was, and so many people coming from Nigeria, from Burkina Faso, they had gotten to that level. And I was wondering, why don't we have a DTM in Ghana? And it still took me a little bit of time because I was looking at working on myself so I become effective and efficient in what I was doing. And that meant that I was following my passion so that I can achieve a certain purpose. I was also looking at my B. How can I work on my behavior so that I do not push too much and I'm able to ensure that the teams that I'm working with are able to work effectively and efficiently without increasing their stress levels. So I quickly launched on the path of leadership. I became the Vice President Education at Accra Toastmasters, became the Secretary at Accra Toastmasters, and in between that time, the US Embassy finally got approval and the Gladiators Toastmasters Club was birthed. All along the line, I still hadn't understood the processes of going up the ladder as far as the Toastmasters leadership ranking or hierarchy was concerned. So upon realizing that certain things were not disclosed to me early on, I started questioning some of the leaders. I started asking questions. Why wasn't I informed about this? Why wasn't I informed about that? Because I was taking on so many leadership roles so I can grow. But one thing I also realized was that in trying to develop your authentic self, if you don't take care, you become what they call the shooting star, because you end up rising so quickly that you do not give yourself enough time to grow through the process. So I had to take a step back and began going into clubs, coaching, guiding, and helping them so that they get to understand the Toastmasters program in a way that I didn't have the opportunity to learn. My core values of accountability, striving for excellence, also shaped my C, my character. And when you are looking at authentic leadership and how you can develop it, you need to always reflect on how your attitude is supporting a certain view or a certain thought in terms of how you perceive things. Is it helping the team? Is it helping you to achieve your goal and your purpose? If not, then you need to take a step back and do some inflection, sit down and ask yourself, what must I do? What are some of the things that I need to learn and sharpen so that I can develop and become a better version of myself? In the way that I behaved, I was handling a male dominant side, if I should say it. And because I am female, I think that the way I approach certain things at the early stage stepped on a few egos. And so it became a sort of barrier in my journey. Now, being an authentic leadership and standing strong by the sides of your value and your guiding principles can cause you to lose friends. As a leader, that can happen. But one thing that you must always be conscious about is that if your principles and that moral perspective you have, going against it is not aligned to your core values, then you must stand by it, even if it means it's going to cost you to lose some friends or lose some relationships. So what I want to leave with all of us is that we are on a journey. We are working on a continuum, and we must continue to focus on ourselves, improving ourselves so that our original version comes out. We can model after people, we can read about leaders, read leadership books, etc., but you have to go through the process. And as you go through the process, ask yourself whether your ABCs are evolving, they are developing, and you're shaping into that better version of yourself. I see the red light on, so I would want to leave the controls back to our executive director. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Patricia. And there were some comments and some things posted in here. Let's see. Love the analogy to gemstones and cleaning and polishing them to grow. And the new clothing analogy, Rosanna said they are called rejects in India, new clothes, but with minor defects. Yes. And then we have something here. Lynn Fraley says we have secondhand stores. And then let's see. Somebody asked about the ABCs, but you got it out. Attitude, behavior, and character. Really great key points. Carolyn Douglas says respect is so important in leadership. Give it to everyone and expect to receive it from everyone. Pauline said, Patricia, thank you for sharing your leadership values. Very important to being a successful leader. Very important leadership skills, listening, truly listening. Kathleen Phil, we see how you embody the values you teach. Love your stories and how you yourself have grown, helping others grow. Janet Lockhart, Patricia, great message. I feel your passion and commitment to what you're sharing. Me? I love your idea of the shooting star and going too fast and not learning enough along the way, and how it's really important to really savor the lessons and be aware of it. And let's see, how are we doing on time? Are we okay on time? Let's see, there are a few more. What a wonderful perspective on leadership. Also loved hearing a little bit about Ghana. And wonderful speech. I haven't seen any questions yet. Misty says, please repeat the ABCs.
Oh, okay, so that's the attitude, the behavior, and then the character. So the attitude starts from your mindset and how you perceive things, the way you view things. And as you continue to reflect on those, it also impacts on your behavior, the way you respond to issues around you. And that the A and B eventually forms part of your character. And it becomes what people will call your nature. Okay, so somebody will say, okay, it's your nature, you're time conscious, you want to strive for excellence, you are consistent, you're dependable, you're reliable. All will come because of the ABCs.
Okay, Patricia, thank you very much for going over that. We do have another presentation, so I'm going to give the floor back to our Executive Director, Linda Patton. Thanks again. One of our presenters.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Patricia. That was amazing. Thank you again so very, very, very much.
Thank you. And
now we're going to have, and I'm going to read their introduction because it's fabulous. Fellow Toastmasters and esteemed guests, today we will be having a speech on behalf of the coordinators and youth leaders of the 3 C's Youth Leadership Program. 3 C's aims to nurture, motivate, and support the youth leaders of today. Their mission is to combine the 3 C's of collaboration, communication, and compassion to support the communities and personal growth of members. Today, we will have a presentation by one of the coordinators, Niharika, and I'm going to butcher your last name, Niharika Suravarjjala.
That was really good.
And
that was really good, actually.
Oh, thank you. And 2 of the amazing Community Service Project youth leaders, Reena Jain and Sadhana Tadapalli. And I'm going to let them get started. So, Mona, the time is 7 minutes.
To provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. The Toastmasters mission statement. But what is the purpose of having leadership qualities? What is the purpose of personal growth if you can't share it with your friends, your family, your community, and the world around you? Fellow Toastmasters and esteemed guests, today I am here on behalf of the 3 C's Youth Leadership Program to show you the results of when leadership and personal growth is shared with the world. Collaboration, communication, and compassion are the foundation of our program, but also what we believe to be the foundation of a strong leader. Knowing how to communicate effectively, work with others around you, and do it with a greater good in mind, mindfully, is what we promote. We are a group of youth leaders from all over District 57, devoted to making a difference in our community in one of the most trying and unprecedented times in history. Students from the program had all kinds of ideas to make a difference through community service projects, such as local book exchanges, or even raising money for foster children and planting trees around neighborhoods all over California. We have 2 members and community service project leads with us here today to share what they have come up with and also present what they have learned as youth leaders. Renali?
Okay. Hi, my name is Renali, and I was the project lead for a camp for kids, where we held a 1-week camp to share our skills with younger students. Our goal for this camp was to share things we were passionate about to younger kids and raise funds for our other community service projects. While sharing our own strengths, we were able to learn some even more skills. A major part of holding this camp was organization. A lot of work went in behind the scenes to make sure that the logistics for the camp were set. Everyone was committed to making sure the classes were a success. We were also able to practice public speaking in each class when we taught. We also pitched our idea to the FAT Toastmasters group and made the curriculums for each classes. Additionally, we were able to practice all 3 C's. Before launching our camp, we were collaborating daily through meetings between the people who managed the schedule, the flyer, and the presentation. Every single person was able to play to their strengths. As youths, we all agreed that it was a very gratifying experience to see students showcasing their skills that we taught, and really encouraged us to continue being leaders and making differences in our community. I think that everyone really benefited from this camp, and I hope that we can get a chance to do it again. In conclusion, this project was one that required a lot of teamwork and planning, so I'm really thankful to all of YLP for helping us make this project a success.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sadhna Tadapalli, and I was the lead for the second project, Project One Life at a Time. For months, like an animal guarding its young, we've been securing our health by staying home. But what happens to the people whose job it is to ensure our good health? The healthcare professionals. They have been going to the front lines to fight the perilous disease COVID-19. And as a part of my project, my team and I made care packages, handwritten cards, and inspirational posters which were sent to the healthcare workers at Kaiser Hospital. During a situation like the one that we're living in, it's difficult to look on the bright side. But through these items, we thought we could just remind the healthcare heroes what they're fighting for. The project was a huge success, and it was all thanks to the skills that I honed in the 3Cs YLP program. I learned to be a communicator, to work with others to get my ideas across. I learned to be a collaborator, to actively contribute to projects with my peers. I learned to be compassionate, to look for the people out there who really need our help and lend a hand. I learned to be mindful, to always be aware of the situation surrounding me. However, my biggest takeaway was being able to ask myself the question, can I do more? Although we always push ourselves to the limit when trying to achieve a goal, there's always more to be done. Like Barack Obama once said, no matter how much you've done or how successful you've been, there's more to do, more to learn, and more to achieve. That's exactly what I plan on doing for the rest of my life, and I encourage you all to do the same. The next time you go outside, observe your surroundings and ask yourself, can I do more? Surely you'll find something, because no matter how much you've done to make the world a better place, there's always one more thing that can be done. Back to you, Neha.
Thank you, Mrinali and Sadhana, and the 3Cs youth leaders for stepping up as youth leaders within our community. It is so important for all of us to remember, especially in light of a pandemic and as Toastmasters, that we are here cultivating leadership skills for a reason. Our words, our decisions, and our actions are powerful. We know how to communicate, we know how to collaborate, and we can be compassionate. But these skills aren't just valuable on their own. We must be aware of what people need, the change that needs to be made, and put our services forward. I encourage each and every one of you here today to think about what matters to you and to do something to impact a positive change in that aspect. whether you're an adult Toastmaster or a youth leader, because we are the leaders of today, not tomorrow. Be a risk taker, a change maker, be a Toastmaster.
Thank you so very much. What I love about our youth leaders is the fact that, one, they so embrace and they so really bring what's valuable about Toastmasters to life. And starting so young, it's phenomenal. I've been really impressed with their abilities to evaluate and to speak. They are truly an example to all youth as to what you can do with a Toastmasters background and with the confidence to step up, step out, and truly lead at any level. Thank you three so very, very much for presenting this. And I know that you're going to give us a longer presentation in October when the new club starts, right, Cynthia?
Whoops.
Whoops. Yes?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
In October or November. Yeah, we'd love to have them as a plenary speaker for 15 minutes and 5 minutes Q&A. Make sure to put your comments and questions in the chat, and then they can respond to them later. I know that Jean Luong, who's their leader, will really appreciate those as well.
Absolutely. And with that in mind, we will be taking a break for 5 minutes. So at the moment it's 7:01. I would like you back at 7:06 so we can get you in your breakout rooms and have some additional fabulous presenters and speeches this evening. We'll see you in 5.
Okay, and be sure to check out the chat. Jean just posted their YouTube channel where you can see more about the projects that they were working on and how you can participate. And then I'm going to post about my email address if you want to find out more about becoming a charter member. We just got the go ahead to start that process now for October. Woohoo! So excited. Oh, and Linda, Lakshmi's having trouble putting her L1 in front of her name. Could you do that for her so she could be guided to the proper breakout?
I know where she's going.
Okay, Lakshmi, you're covered.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I just posted my email address in the chat if you want to find out more about becoming a charter member of Leaders Worldwide. We just got the go ahead to make those applications now, and then we'll charter in early October and then start on October 19th. So exciting.
This is 707.
So are we ready to get started?
Yes.
Okay, hang on. 1 second. And I am almost ready to send you off to your breakout rooms. All right, are y'all back?
Back.
All right, I'm sending you off to your breakout rooms. Ready? Remember to join. Ishrath, I think you have all of your level 1 folks available.
I haven't gotten a note. Am I supposed to get a note?
Who are you?
Sandra.
Sandra, you're in level 1.
Yeah, I haven't gotten a little thing that says go.
That's
to-
because level 1 doesn't leave the main room.
Oh, okay.
You're fine.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome. Ishrath, we can't hear you.
Okay, Mona, are you in level 2 or level 1?
2.
Oh, then this is level 1.
Do you have another timer?
Oh, I was the timer for us was Patricia. Patricia, are you there?
And Lynn Fraley shouldn't be here either. Okay, I can move Mona.
Yeah, Patricia is there. Yeah, everyone is there. Okay. So you want me to work with Patricia or Mona then? Linda?
I'll move Mona.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
See you later.
Think maybe. Hang on.
Okay. Thank you, Mona. Thank you, Linda.
Goodbye,
Hello,
Mona.
everyone.
Bye.
I moved you. You need to join. There we go. Okay, you're all set.
Okay. Great. Okay. Hello, everyone. How are you all? You all may use your chat button and then send the response. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm also good. For all the people who do not know me, this is Ishrat Fatima. I'm a level 1 coordinator, and I consider myself to be a passionate community server with ability to motivate and inspire individuals in identifying their potential to continue and share their passion to serve others. I started my journey as Toastmasters in April 2019. Over the time in Toastmasters, I have observed and tried to practice different leadership styles, first by serving as a club officer and then serving different roles in area, division, and district levels. Presently, I'm an area director in District 101, club coach in Toastmasters International, program chair for the Fall Fusion, Inspired to Speak, which started in the month of April 2020. I'm a speechcraft coordinator in District 57 at Leaders Worldwide, Vice President of Education in Stamba Toastmasters, and Pathways Mentor, and many more. Thank you all for the appreciation and recognition. Let me walk you all through the agenda for today's session. Today's session is divided into 4 segments: demo speech, table topic, evaluation, and question and answer for the next session. let me introduce our functionaries for today's session. The evaluator for today is Mirlani Jain. Mirlani, are you there? Please unmute
hi.
and say hi. Milani, we cannot see you.
You can call me Rena. I'm just gonna turn on my video in a second.
Okay, Rena. Okay, in the meantime, let me call our timer for today. Oh, Rena is here. Hi, Rena.
Hi.
Okay, our timer for today is Presha Dutt. Presha, please unmute and turn on your video and say hi.
Hi.
Hello. Okay. Our next project for level 1 is, any guesses? It's the third project, researching and presenting. This project addresses topic selection strategies, suggestions for research, and methods for producing a well-organized speech. The purpose of this project is to learn or review your basic research methods and present a well-organized, well-researched speech on any topic. Select a topic that you are not already familiar with and you wish to learn more about it. Be sure your topic is narrow enough to be an effective 5 to 7 minutes of speech. Research the topic, begin organizing the information as described in this project, practice your speech, and continue to refine its organization and present your speech in the next session. Are you ready to organize and research your speech? Please use this chat button if you are not able to speak now. Pathways provide you with a couple of PDFs to help you organize your materials and your speech. The outline of 7 different types of speeches. They explain that speeches have 3 distinct parts: the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. Coming to the speech organization, make sure that your material is presented in a logical format, because it is the difference between the communication and the chaos. Just throwing all your information at your audience is not informative, nor persuasive. Your task as a speaker requires you to be proactive, to present your data and the conclusion in a format that a listener can follow. Your call to action will be observed and motivating only if you organize your speech and present it in the best possible way you can. One more thing I would like to add to this is the content where you are extracting from any of your websites, please write it as a copyright to that content. If not, it will be taken into as a text. Always make this as a note. Now moving to our very first segment, that is our demo speech. Our demo speaker for today is Tony Tahir. To evaluate his speech, let me welcome the evaluator, Rena. Rena, are you there?
Yeah, hi.
Okay. Rena, can you help us with the Tony's past project, purpose, and speech timing?
I didn't get anything.
Okay, no worries. Let me help you out in this. Tony will be giving his demo speech today on researching and presenting. Am I right, Tony? Okay, thank you. The part of Tony's speech is research, it's presentation mastery. And the project is researching and presenting. The purpose of this project is to research and present on a topic that he is not familiar with. The timing of his speech will be for 5 to 7 minutes. Tony, are you ready? Timer, are you ready? Great. Tony Tahir, why it's time to adopt a better style of leadership. Why it's time to adopt a better style of leadership. Tony Tahir. The timing of his speech is 5 to 7 minutes. Tony, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Ishrat. Good evening, everyone. I'm here tonight to invite leaders and inspiring leaders to consider a whole new style of leadership, a brain-healthy style of leadership. There are 3 reasons I suggest this. One is because the way we've been working hasn't been working. 2, because the challenges of our world today are growing exponentially, and we simply need a better way of leadership just to keep up. And 3rd, from the brain science, we've begun to understand what it is that makes people really function more effectively. And we can use that as the foundation of our new leadership style. These 3 factors are converging in our world today, and they invite us to step up and play a bigger game and be more effective leaders, whatever we do in the world. Let me explain each of these 3 dynamics. 1, I say that the way we've been working isn't working because the way we manage our people doesn't work. It's the social hierarchy we bring to the workplace that makes work so tedious, so frustrating, so stressful. It turns out that the very hierarchy we adopt in the workplace is not brain healthy. I'll come back and revisit that a bit later. Way back in the 1960s, the famous management guru, Peter Drucker, famously said, "The most of what we call management consists of making it difficult for people to get their work done." It's easy to see why. Because while most managers say they most value what I call the REI factors, results, emotional engagement, and innovation, what they really get are people who fall into states of resentment, resistance, and reactivity, where they're not really effective. We've been getting the opposite of what we say we want for the last 200 years. It's staggering to me how much of it we're getting. And I use, to illustrate this, some findings from the multi-year Gallup poll of the international workplace, which consistently has found that only 33% of US workers say they feel actively engaged in their work, whereas 53% say they're disengaged from their jobs, and a full 1 out of 8, 1/8 of all US workers are actively disengaged, they say. And I take that to mean they're resistant, they're reactive, and they're resenting what's going on. People at work do not trust their managers. According to Gallup, 58% of all US workers trust strangers on the street more than their own boss. 65% of US workers would rather see their boss get fired than to take a raise in pay. And 51% at any given time of the US workforce is actively looking for a job, and it's not to get better opportunities. The number one reason is because they have a bad boss. The way we've been leading does not produce the REI factors that managers think they're working for: results, emotional engagement, and innovation. What we're doing doesn't get the results we're after. The Dakota Indians used to say that when you realize that you've been riding a dead horse, your best strategy is to get off. The second factor I mentioned is that the challenges of our world today are growing and accelerating. So we need a better way to lead our people just to keep up with the demand. You might have your own list of what you think are the big challenges in today's world, but they might include things like our environmental crisis, the growing competitiveness of international business, and all the social disruptions that occur across all societies because of that, our health and healthcare challenges, our social justice and social inclusion challenges. But whatever your list is, let's just bundle all that up together and say that we live in an increasingly VUCA world. It's VUCA. Our world today is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. We never know what's going to hit us or how we're going to handle it. But even as the world makes greater demands on us, we can adopt a new and exciting way of dealing with it as leaders. The old model of leading, of controlling, of directing, of imposing, of structuring and evaluating, those are what discourage us and create these 3 R's. They don't align with what makes our brains work well. In simplest terms, managers have not been looking at the 2 biggest problems of the social workplace. The biggest problem is the mood that people fall into. Our brains work best when we feel positive, energized, and connected. And the second problem that is, as leaders, we haven't learned how to make our people feel better. Humans produce the REI factors, the results, the emotional engagements, and the innovation when we feel close, upbeat, and in flow. So to conclude, I'd like to offer a few suggestions to everyone as a leader. I invite you to notice all the leadership vacuums that occur around you. And when you do, just ask yourself, how can I change the mood and help people here step into better moods when we're together? And let me just leave you with these 2 final principles of leadership. One is to build your people up. Praise them, develop them, help them grow and play a bigger game in life. And 2 is to step aside and let your people build your business. If you build them up and create a powerfully positive mood, they'll make your old job of telling them what to do obsolete. And that's a great thing, because for leadership, the difference that makes a difference is very simple. People don't like to be told what to do, but they love to be challenged to get something done. I'll give it back to you, Ishrat.
Thank you, Tony. John F. Kennedy, he said, when written in Chinese, the word crisis is composed of 2 characteristics. One represents danger and the other represents opportunity. And this is what a leader should follow. Crisis with an opportunity. Okay. 1 minute of silence for evaluators to make notes. Timer, are you ready? Patricia, is it done? 1 minute?
Yeah.
Okay. Now is the time for table topics. Are you all ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Timer, are you ready?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Each speech will be given 1 to 2 minutes. At 1 minute, you may see green. At 1 minute 30 seconds, you will see yellow. And at 2 minutes, you will see red. Okay, my first question for today. Which activities make you lose track of time? Which activities make you lose track of time? Sandra, would you like to try?
All right, I can do that.
Thank you. Let us welcome Sandra.
So my passion is hand analysis, reading people's hands. And when I start looking at someone's hands, I just sort of sink into it. And I could just look at the hands for a long time. And I do lose track of time. Now that is, that's a really good reading when that happens. And I love it. I love that I can get involved with the hands. I love what I'm learning from the hands. I love giving that information to the owner of the hands, so that they can have a sort of a new perspective of themselves and what's going on in their life. I remember when I had my first reading, I learned things, you know, that I had been struggling with my whole life. And I have one reading, and she's reading the lines in my hands, and it all makes sense. And I guess that's why I became a hand reader. So I can't see that. Oh, is that a green? Okay. Yeah, so that's what I love. And that's what becomes timeless for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. Does anyone want to take the same question? Lakshmi, would you like to try?
Do I have a choice? Is there any other question?
Yes, I do. Okay. Is it possible to lie without saying a word?
To lie without saying a word?
Yeah.
I find that's. I think I'll take the previous one, the one about what I like to do. Right? It's the. Can you just repeat the previous one? The previous one was what you like to do.
Which activities make you lose track of time?
Okay. All right. So one activity that makes me lose track of time is cooking. I love to cook. I love trying on new spices and new textures and new I love researching recipes, and of late I've experimented with vegan recipes. I'm trying to go vegan. So it just gives me so much joy to cook and to present and to feed people. It kind of it's just such something so soul satisfying, that is one activity that I could do for a pretty long time. And the other activity that helps me lose track of time is walking. I can really walk. I love going out, being out in the open, and I'm new to California. I've just moved here a couple of years ago, so I'm still exploring and checking out different suburbs and new places to eat. And I'm so excited. There's so much that this state has to offer, and I love being here, and I love exploring. So those are my two favorite activities where I can really lose track of time.
Good. Thank you, Lakshmi. Okay, Maureen, would you like to volunteer for the second question? Is it possible to lie without saying a word?
So I would say yes, it's possible to lie without saying a word, because as an empath and as a person that's always been really sensitive to people's energy, basically when somebody asks you a question, if it's hesitant, or if you don't want to answer the question, or if you have something to hide, or the look on your face, right? Like, so imagine when somebody like has a look on their face and then they go like this, or then they go like this, or their body language goes like this. I think those are a variety of ways that you can lie without saying a word. Let me see, what else? Lying without saying a word. So what is a lie to begin with, right? A lie has many different ways of being explained. A lie can be only disclosing part of the truth. It can be overstating the truth. It can be denying the truth. So I think there again, that you could be, if you're interested in reading about stuff that's not the truth, that could be another way of lying without saying a word, that you're reading about something that's not the truth to begin with. So I would say, to summarize, number one is yes, it's possible to lie because your energy shifts, your body language could shift, and you could actually be focusing on and tuning in and paying attention to something that's not the truth in the first place. Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen. Okay. Keeping in view the time, we will have only 3 table topics for today. Okay. Thank you all participants. Now is the time for evaluation. To evaluate Tony's speech, let me welcome Mirlani Jain. We can even call her as Reena. Let us welcome Reena. Evaluation of demo speech will be for 2 to 3 minutes. Timer, are you ready? Great. Mirlani, the floor is yours.
Okay, so to start off with, that was a very persuasive speech on why we should change our current methods of leadership. It was a really good topic to start off with for a research and presentation speech, because you could research many different things about it, and you used a lot of data in your speech. So you started off your speech with a hook, a list of the 3 reasons why your claim is true. And then you revisited those 3 statements one by one, which I thought was a really effective way of keeping our interest and focus on the key main point of your speech. I believe you could have improved on your voice modulation a little bit and changed your tone when some things were more important, like I'm doing right now. But other than that, your speaking speed was really good. It made your speech really clear to understand, and it was nice and slow. Really liked that part. I also noticed that you had a lot of data in your speech, from like the amount of interest people have in workplaces and why it's important to create more interest through better leadership. So I think that really contributed to making your speech really focused and narrow on the theme. If you'd like to challenge yourself in the future, you could try memorizing your speech a little more, and that would also help with confidence. So you would look directly at the camera and it would come out more naturally. Your eye contact was also amazing on that note. I did mention that we're looking at the camera the whole time and not our faces, which is kind of more natural when you're speaking through Zoom. But thank you, that was a really good speech.
Thank you, Mirlani. That was a clear and detailed evaluation. Tony, I think you have made a note of all these things. Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Reena.
Okay. Do you have any questions to be clarified on how to work with the assignment for the next week? Do you have any?
Sure. So what's our assignment for next week? I mean, do we prepare these 3 topics? What do we do? What's our assignment for next week?
Okay, so are you giving your research and presenting or evaluation on feedback? Which project are you working on?
Research and presenting.
Okay, so the speech will be for, yeah, the speech will be for 5 to 7 minutes.
Okay. So Cynthia said I could present the same speech I presented last week. So can I go ahead and present that next week?
Yes, you can present the same speech, but the speech was for 4 to 6 minutes, I remember. You need to add few more content into it to make it 5 to 7 and add few links and like because you have researched about how you became a vegetarian, you can just enclose a couple of things according to this website, according to the article number and everything.
Sure, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay, looks like everyone is ready for the next session. Okay, please email your intention to speak right away to Linda and me. And your past, project name and number, the timing and the title of your speech must be emailed to Linda and me by next end of the Sunday. With this, I adjourn the session for the level 1 coordinators. We will wait for everyone to come back in the main room. We are done. Let me adjourn. Linda, are you there? Linda, are you there?
I guess we have time for another table topic.
Okay, I can start the table topic for sure. I have questions. Okay, if you had to teach something, what would you teach? If you had to teach something, what would you teach? Janet, would you like to speak?
Sure. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for the question. That's a great question because I do teach in corporate America. One of my favorite topics to teach is influencing skills. I am a leadership scholar. I am an executive leadership coach, and influencing skills is one of my most absolute favorite topics to teach, because when I teach influencing skills, it gives me the opportunity to put corporate managers and leaders in different scenarios. And that allows them to discern how they would act in a real world type of situation. And it's really interesting and wonderful for me to see people learning and growing and realize that they can solve some pretty complex problems by leveling up the extent of their leadership skills. So that is one of my favorite topics to teach. The other one is just plain leadership skills in general. I really enjoy teaching entry and first level managers about leadership, helping them to discern the differences between management and leadership. It's always a fun topic area for me because the light bulbs start going on and everything. And I get really excited, again, putting them in different management and leadership scenarios that allow them to practice certain skills. So definitely influencing skills would be my favorite, followed very closely by leadership and management. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Janet. Here comes the next question. Would you break the law to save a loved one? Would you break the law to save a loved one? Martin?
To break the law. that's going to be where I am. For example, if I am in the United States, something can be against the law. If I am in Mexico, it cannot be a punishment. Madam Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, and guests, what should I do or break the law to save a loved one? Of course. I think that we can do whatever we can do it to save a loved one. For example, 3 years ago, died one aunt, and my cousin told me, do you want to keep that ashes to keep it in the church? But at the last minute, they didn't give me the ashes. And I say, why they didn't give me the ashes? And I noticed that the death certificate, it was stating that it was a hit on the head, and it was like something in Spanish is hematoma subdural. So it's something bad there. And I say, then my aunt didn't die of pneumonia. She died because she had something, or she was hidden on her head. And that's why they were scared, and they thought that I was going to do something against them, but I was not going to do anything. But after, they told me that one of my cousins was depressed, and I went with him, and I saw one box with ashes, and I take it to keep it at the
Martin, I think we lost you. Lakshmi?
Yeah.
Are you all there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Okay. Did we lost Martin?
Looks like that. Looks like we lost him.
Okay.
Martin, can you see us?
Yes, but yeah, I think I can see you, Maureen, and everyone. Okay. Is my audio? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, are you all able to hear my voice?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. Oh my God. Okay. Moving to our next question. Thank you, Martin. Moving to our next question. What do you want most? What do you want most? Kadisha, would you like to take this? Kadisha, are you there? Sandy?
Hey, could you say the question one more time?
Yes, Sandy. Hi. Okay.
Hi.
What do you want most?
Thank you very much, Master. Currently, what I want most would be in this chaotic world when we are all influenced by these small virus. What I want most would be, well, I want everything related to the virus, coronavirus, everything in the downsizing part, everything related to a part will be gone immediately and effect immediately. I don't want it to end like in 5 years or like 5 more months or something. I want all of them will be gone. Why? Because we are suffering, and we are suffering for like almost like 7 or 8 months old. For example, everything go online or something. What I want most would be, I think we suffered enough time, and I really wish that this would be gone. I really wanted to go back to normal life. I want to basically kind of like touch people around me, or for example, I shake hands with you or something. So I just hope that this will be gone immediately, and in fact immediately, that we all back to normal life. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Sandy. Thank you all for participating. Looks like everyone is back.
No, not everyone, but couple of the rooms have closed, so I'm going to close the rest of them.
I think level 3.
Yeah. Looks like level 2 is also coming back. Welcome back.
I didn't finish.
Martin, we lost you.
Maybe because you were going to know that I did something wrong, but in fact wasn't wrong because I was not punished. I didn't receive anything from the court, but maybe next week I will do a speech about that.
Sounds like a plan to me, Martin.
Yeah.
Hey, we're back.
Hey.
Another great breakout session. Awesome.
That was so
job,
powerful.
Linda.
So powerful. Thank you.
I survived, Linda. Miss Executive Director, I survived.
Yay!
Awesome.
Okay. So, I think we're all back.
Ready back?
We are all back. So with that, the question is, what do you have to share for chocolate?
The ultimate goal, virtual
Yes,
chocolate.
for chocolate.
Who has a takeaway?
Yes, Misty.
I never had such fun being a disruptor of a talk in my life. It really taxed my imagination because I told myself I had to stay sitting at my desk. And so whatever toys around me were available, that's what I used. But the biggest toy was my mouth.
Right. So, Shahag, how did it go having all these disruptors in your room? Oh,
I think instead of
before Shahag starts, Misty, your chocolates. There you go.
Thank you.
So, Muhammad, how did it go?
I would say it went okay, and my interrupter can say how did I do in the session. She was very enthusiastic in terms of interruption. She did a great job. Even if I try to put her off, saying that if you have any question, so you can write it down and then we can discuss at the end of the session. But of course, she didn't listen to that and she continuously pushed.
Awesome. So Shahab,
thanks.
You learned
Yeah.
something, and here's your
Yeah,
chocolate
I
for
learned
it.
so many things. Thank you. Yes.
There you
Thank
go.
you.
Okay. Anyone else? Linda. Linda, tell us about it.
This has been such an incredible experience. I feel so supported as I've really been working on how to share information that's not, that most people don't want to talk about, depression awareness and suicide prevention. But I feel so embraced, and Cynthia did something this week that really made my life so much better. That I celebrated my mom's life, what I learned from her before and after her death, which was 50 years ago last Thursday. So, thank you, Cynthia. I love you so much.
Love you
it
too.
just changed my whole perspective on everything.
Fantastic.
Beautiful.
And for that, you deserve 2 chocolates.
Yay!
1, 2. Fantastic. Someone else. Michelle. Unmute yourself, sweetie.
I got it.
There you go.
Lynn gave another phenomenal speech on breast care. And I just, you have such a natural way of talking about it. And you give really great information. And I just really wanted to honor you. I didn't get a chance to put it in there. And the other takeaway I had is that I seem to be able to only handle a certain amount of information at a time, and somehow being the host and then going into speaking right away was a little over the top for me. But maybe as I practice, I'll get better.
It was great. Yes. Sounds good, Michelle.
Thank
And your
you.
chocolates, my dear.
Yeah, I think she deserves a double dose.
All right.
Please.
I have a second one for you. All right. Anyone else? Amelia.
I just wanted to acknowledge Mohammed for being so amazing. While we were disrupting him, Misty and I was like off the hook, and he just maintained his composure, came right back to his content and did it in such a gracious way. And he incorporated Misty's disruption into his speech, so it allowed her to be more engaged and feel heard. So I just want to acknowledge Mohammed for what an excellent, excellent job he did today.
Awesome. Thank you, Amelia. And your chocolates, my dear.
Woohoo!
Yes. Rosemary.
Hi. I too want to acknowledge Cynthia for being a great coordinator who makes us do things we think we cannot do. And Linda's speech this evening was very informative. The topic, how to save a life, and it is so simple. She made it look so simple that we should just connect with people when we do not probably know exactly what they're going through, and they might be at the end of their rope thinking that they are alone and do not have help. She gave us the steps, what we should do, and I found this was very, very informative. And our evaluator, Sadhana, I hope I pronounce her name correctly. She's the best. She listens. She gives advice. She gives information as how you should correct what you're doing. And for this, I thank her so much.
Thank you so much, Rosemary. That was fantastic. And here's your chocolate.
Thank you.
Enjoy. All right. Anyone else?
I can go next.
Mona.
So the takeaway that I had today was we're joining Toastmasters not only to improve our public speaking, but also ourselves and have self-growth. I just shared it in our breakout room that by listening to people's stories, you learn a lot, not only working on your self-confidence and leadership, but also as an individual person to learn about yourself and being a better person in general.
Awesome. Thank you, Mona, for that insight. And here is your chocolate.
Yay, thank you.
Enjoy.
Change the world one Toastmaster at a time.
Exactly, exactly. So one more. I can take one more. Going once. Going twice.
Okay, I'll say something.
All right, Sandra.
Yeah. I enjoyed the session. I enjoyed the topic that I had to talk about. I had to talk about what activity do I do that makes time stop for me.
Ooh, nice.
So that was a good question, wasn't it?
It was.
Yes.
Wow. I've had some really insightful questions for table topics this week.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
thought that was a pretty good one. Well, and then it made me think about my hand analysis and how much I love that and how I just sink into it. And so I like the reminder that yes, I do love this stuff. I do.
All right. And Sandra, chocolate for you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all so very much. Your comments, your thoughts, your takeaways really help us to level up so we can be even better and can provide an even better, richer, engaging speechcraft for y'all. Yes, a little bit of Southern hospitality there. All right. So final announcements and reminders. Just remember that we meet every Monday. We have one more week to go, which will be our 8th week. And then we have 3 weeks off, and graduation is on the 21st. On the 14th, we do have the district business meeting that it would be great for you all to attend, since you're already in the groove, meeting on Monday. So that would be really awesome. The international conference, which is free to all, is totally virtual. It started today, and I know Cynthia's been on and off listening to presentations and that kind of thing. I did put the registration link in the chat so that you can go register and have access to some really phenomenal speakers talking about all sorts of different topics that will help you in your Toastmasters career. Unfortunately, we're not in Paris, but I'm sure you could put an Eiffel Tower behind you in your virtual background and feel like you're in Paris and that kind of thing. So before I say goodbye, I do, as you know, have a quote for you. And this is from Robert Fulghum. And he says, "I believe that imagination is stronger than knowledge, that myth is more potent than history, that dreams are more powerful than facts, that hope always triumphs over experience, that laughter is the only cure for grief, and I believe that love is stronger than death." Wow. So with that, I send you on your way for this week, and we will see you all next week on the 31st, right here, same bat time, same bat channel, and we'll see you then. Don't forget to register, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
being here. You were
Thank you.
amazing.